What's up, YouTube? So today we're going to be working on one of my finals. I'm making a diorama of mangroves, pretty much all made of plastic. And I'm like halfway through and I was like, why am I not filming a time lapse of this? So if you're wondering like, oh, where's part one? It's because I only just thought of doing this, like filming it. So watch me transform this, which is what I have now, which is like I glued the sides to make this like diorama sort of look. It's like sheets of acrylic plastic, and then the trees are like parts of like binder folders I cut up, and then these are hot glued and the sides are super glued. So I'm sorry I didn't film the first part of this, but we will continue from here. So this is the before, and I also have some pictures of when I was like much earlier in this. Also, for some context, this is for my sculpture class, and the assignment was to make something out of predominantly one material. And I figured like plastic would be interesting because we'd been working with wood and metal and plaster, and I like the idea of reusing plastic just because, well, a lot of us have such an excess amount in our house, so like I don't have to go out and buy anything. Like these are all like scraps of things I found, and also like I figured it'd be pretty easy to make it like a commentative piece. I'd done work before about ocean pollution, and it was like, I'll put a picture of it, but that was on like cardboard and it was a painting, and it was just like a generalized about like ocean debris, and like I glued on things that you would find at the beach. But this is like I researched more specifically places that really suffer from pollution, and I learned about what mangroves are. And like if you don't know, basically mangroves are like a type of tree and they line most coasts around the world, and it's kind of like the first line of defense against waves, etc. And you can see like how big the roots are. Like it kind of works as like a sort of like shield, but things get caught in it like plastic. But if the roots get covered by like plastic and material, the trees kind of start to suffocate. So that is something that's happening. And so I was like, why don't I do it on this like more specific biome rather than like a generalized, just like, oh, this is the ocean. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I just collected a bunch of sand from the beach, so this is not like 100% plastic in here, but I assume that there's a lot of fragments of plastic in here anyway. But the thing doesn't have to be 100% plastic, the sculpture, but like it is mostly going to be. And then I made, it's like similar from like this like branches material. I made like these like little plants, so I'm gonna glue down. I have a ton of Mod Podges because I think that's what I'm gonna make the water out of, and I'm gonna use this as well with a brush, and I'm gonna put some down, and then I'm gonna glue on the sand, like sprinkle it on, and then eventually I'll put these plants, and then I plan to do some of the water. Well, firstly I've got to like mix together a right color for the water, some water, put in fish, and then like more water, and then of course I'm gonna have to put on like the leaves for these and maybe any additional animals, like if I were to make like birds or something to put, to show like it's not just like the fish that are in the water that are affected, but also from the plastic on the surface. But that's mostly what I'm going to be doing to finish this. Okay, so these are my fish. They're really like made out of random stuff. I don't know, these ones are covered in duct tape. But yeah, I'm gonna paint them, but I need my phone as reference, so I'll be back when they're painted. Okay, I got these from the Dollar Tree near me. I wanted to make a note of that. That's why they're so small. But this was like very tedious and almost not fruitful. You'll see I have some flops doing this. There wasn't a clear answer online on how to do water. This was all very experimental, and I couldn't tell in the bucket how much glue I had for the diorama, but I was trying to do it darker colors on the bottom and then lighter on the top for the layers of the water. But I also was on a time crunch and I needed it to dry. This is how it looked maybe 12 hours later in class. To say this is a really painful watch. I did this at almost midnight. I was very low on sleep. I don't know why I thought it wouldn't spill over. That was once I had cleaned like half of it that had spilled and was just sitting, and this was very wasteful. I realized I needed to make a slime that would be more solid from it, and this is it the next day. So here I am working with these store-bought slimes. I thought I could combine them for a darker blue with like a twinge of purple. And then I'm also trying to make it thinner and more stretchy so it can flow a little bit. But yeah, it was really fighting me. It was super tough. I'm not like super well versed in slime though, so I actually handed it over to my roommate because it was getting disgusting. And then I eventually started to work on some animals. I did some research on exact animals that you would find in mangroves and started to make them out of plastic bits I had. Doctored up the slime voluntarily, which I was very grateful for. I love her. Grace, if you're watching this, I love you. Literally saved my project. She saw that I was so stressed because it was like 2 a.m. and the project was due the next morning. This is the consistency I was hoping I would have before, and I put some tinfoil borders just to help while it dried in the shape I wanted. And then I started to place all the animals and hot glue them. And I don't know, I feel like with all the glues, I kind of assume that they're all part plastic or acrylic. Yeah, and so I started to place down a bunch of trash, and these were even like dried slime and glue bits. This is the finished result. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a nice day. Bye.